There's been chaos erupting in the United Kingdom, with riots over immigration, fair right and immigrant protests clashing in the streets quite literally. Let's go ahead and put some off. The video our team assembled here, this is just some examples of what's been happening. It's hard not to think the UK is on. There's anger everywhere, is it? People are extremely angry. A dangerous level of anger in your view. Yeah, seething with anger. None of the conditions of what happened last summer have gone away. Violence might not happen, but the absence of riots wouldn't be anybody's test. Nobody realized how quickly a city could change until that Thursday afternoon in time. It began with a single shooting, police opening fire on a man they said was tied to gang activity. Their action at first felt contained and almost fragile. His family stood outside of the police station holding signs, their voices steady, their grief heavy but calm. For a moment it looked like second of protest any city could absorb, but tension spreads like a spark on dry grass. And in London, the grass had been drying for months. Within hours, anger turned into shouting. Shouting turned into crowds. And crowds turned into something much darker. Streets that usually echoed with buses, tourists, and impatient horns now shook with a different sound. Glass breaking, metal crashing, sirens wailing like they were. By late afternoon, the Unrest jumped across East London, hitting Hacken first. One moment there were officers standing at a cordon, and then next they were ducking behind shields. Ace bottles came flying out of nowhere, smashing on the pavement. Ian appeared, someone else screamed, and just like that, everything tipped. It felt like watching a match touch gasoline. The explosion was instant. Breaking news alerts lit up phones. London is burning. At first, people assumed it weighs another flashy headline, but the footage that followed didn't heed words. Flames leaped from shop fronts near King's Cross. Smoke curled across the skyline in thick black ribbon. It didn't look like London. It looked like a warning. A city pulled back in time to its own darkest moments. It all began at 6:42 p.m., a protest that was supposed more symbolic, peaceful. It gathered outside a migrant processing center, people holding signs with tired faces and quiet determination. No chanting, but when police moved in to disperse them, the atmosphere snapped. A bottle flew, then another, and then everything blurred into panic and fire. Someone set a police van alight. The blue light still flashed as flames tore through it, reflecting off the smoke like something out of a nightmare. The crowd surged toward the barricade, shouting, "Protect our kids." Officers stumbled back, shields trembling under pressure of bodies and rage. Within minutes, live streams were everywhere. TikTok, YouTube, Telegram, dozens of angles of the same chaos. The hashtag Britain Burns exploded across social. And while everyone online argued about what was happening, Westminster was quiet. Too quiet. Behind Thecatanes, at number 10, aides whispered into phones, ministers shouted, and Thentia government seemed to be holding its breath, hoping the storm outside would magically die on its own. But London didn't calm. It ignited. By 7:00 p.m., Unrest spilled into Shoreditch, Camden, and then south across the river. A fireball erupted outside Brixton Station in Canning. Town and Overton police van slid across the asphalt like it had been pushed by a wave. A government billboard in Westminster Waston from its frame, dragged into The Street and set ablaze while people chanted around it. Every new clip threw pro onto the digital wildfire. Reporters tried to label it Unrest, but no one watching Bilia Vedus, two soft little words. What unfolded looked like a city unraveling in real time. From Parliament steps, you could see smoke drifting across the... From Canary Wharf, flames flickered in the distance, like the edge of a broken world. At 8:47 p.m., the government finally spoke. A single bland paragraph from the Home Office claiming situation was under control and urging people to remain calm. Their action was instant disbelief. Under control while half the city was on fire. It was like telling someone holding a burning match that everything was Phineas Flames crawled up their sleeve. Leaks from police command centers hit social media minutes later. Internal messages, screenshots, warnings. One line stood out. Morale collapsing, by collapsing, units retreating, South Bank lost. A journalist caught a moment that sent a chill through mid. A police officer helmet cracked, visor smeared with soot, staring dead into the camera, saying, "We're not controlling it anymore." 10th video cut out. By 9:15 p.m., London felt like a battlefield. Sirens bounced off empty buses abandoned in the road. Shops slammed down their shutters. People scavenged whatever they could carry. Journalists struggled to film without being shoved or screamed at. Anger wasn't just directed at the police. It turned on the media, the government, anyone who looked like they were part of the official story. A drone captured a haunting aerial shot. Thetimps black and quiet beneath a city glowing orange. Parliament sat in darkness except for the flicker of riot fires dancing across its walls. Inside Downing Street, panic reigned. Minister sagging, advisors pacing. Phones buzzing non-stop with updates none of them wanted to read. One aide ran in, pale, shaking, whispering, "They've breached Trafalgar Square." The Prime Minister didn't respond at first. Finally, he whispered, "God help us." It didn't sound like a statement. It sounded like your confession. By 1000 p.m., the unrest spread beyond London, Manchester, Birmingham, like warning lights blinking on a national map. My grandhotels were surrounded. Police stations. Bristol erupted. Nottingham flowed. Helicopters thumped across rooftops as crowds chanted, "We are Britain." It no longer sounded like protest. It sounded like declaration. Then came a moment that stunned the entire country. In South London, a line of military veterans stood between protesters and the police. No signs, no words, just a silent wall of men and women who had once protected Bretton Road, now standing guard at home. On a veteran looked into a camera and said, "We fought for this country once. We'll fight for it again." That clip hit 10 million views before midnight inside BBC control. Room, pandemonium, producer Shisp that Downing Street wanted them to tone down visuals and avoid throughward riot. But it was too late. The footage was everywhere. Fires, swallowing cars overturned in CUD, mothers live streaming from balcony screaming, "Where are the leaders now?" At 10:42 p.m., the blackout order came. TV networks abruptly switched to technical difficulties. Social media throttled key hashtags, but people found ways around it. Mirror uploads, file sharing, private groups. The truth kept slipping through the cracks as the sun rose. London looked bruised, but alive. Smoke hung over the river. But, beneath it, something more powerful moved. A sense that the country had witnessed itself, a raw, unfiltered reflection. A journalist ended her broadcast with a line that echoed across Britain. The system didn't fall tonight. The people stood up. And when they did, the government blinked. And somewhere, in thought, new silence, a voice called out through the fading smoke. Stay awake, Britain. This isn't the end. It is that. But dawn didn't bring peace. It brought clarity. Cold, sharp, and the fires were dying, but anger was not. As the smoke thinned, the scale of what had happened came into view. Entire streets were gutted, storefronts peeled open like metal flowers charred by heat. The remains of a double-decker bus leaned against the lamppost, its windows melted into black streaks. By 7:12 a.m., the first official drone sweep was leaked. It showed London scars in brutal detail, craters in the pavement overturned patrol cars, and crowds still gathered in tight, unmoving clusters like they were waiting for something. Not in instructions, not speeches. A moment ash. Journalists called it the dawn. Hundreds of protesters stood facing dozens of riot police across Westminster Bridge. No shouting, no movement, just two sides locked insolence. Steam rising from the temps like breath from an unseen giant watching them. The city felt suspended, caught between collapse and awakening. Inside Downing Street, silence turned a Dinto strategy. Ministers sat around a long polished table, eyes sunk in clothes, wrinkled, exhausted in waste sleep couldn't fix. A security advisor laid out the prediction no one wanted to hear. If this spreads to Liverpool or Glasgow, we lose control of the. Then we lose control of the country. Someone muttered, we've already lost it. A junior aide burst into the room moments later, trembling, holding a tablet. You need to see this. The screen showed a single video live, spreading faster than any official briefing could hope to catch a teenage boy. No older than 16, standing on top of a burned-out taxi in a Whitechapel. His jacket torn, his voice steady. This wasn't a riot, he said. It was a You ignored us. Now you harass. Millions watched. Millions shared it across the country. People repeated his words, like a chant at 9:03 a.m. The first counter-movement formed. A wave of Londoners emerging with brooms, gloves, masks. Teachers, retirees, delivery drivers, students. They walked into the streets without waiting for orders. They swept glass, cleared debris, passed water bottles to exhausted officers, hugged strangers. The city that had burned was now cleansing itself. But beneath their surface, something deeper churned. That afternoon, intelligence units interstate, encrypted messages circulating through private channels. Someone, no one knew who, was organizing something called Nightfall. A coordinated action, a second wave. The message was simple. Tonight, we fit.